Think about this morning. What did you do the moment you woke up? Did you reach for your phone, make coffee, lie there for a few extra minutes? Whatever you did, that was the beginning of your daily routine. And being able to describe that routine clearly and naturally in English is one of the most useful skills you can build. Today, we're walking through a full, real-life daily routine together, with vocabulary, verbs, time expressions, and a complete story to listen to. Stay with us. Hello, and welcome to the Porchlight English, the podcast where real English conversations help you build real confidence. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Ryan. Great to be here with you today. And today's topic is one of my absolute favorites, daily routines. Because it's something every single one of us has, something we live through every single day. And yet, describing it in English, smoothly, naturally, with the right words, is something a lot of learners find surprisingly tricky.
Exactly. And the beautiful thing about daily routines as a topic is how much vocabulary it unlocks. Everyday verbs, time expressions, sequence words, all the building blocks of natural conversation.
Today we're going to listen to a story, a real, detailed account of one person's typical weekday. We'll talk through it, share our own routines for comparison, and teach you the vocabulary and phrases that come up most often. By the end, you'll be able to describe your own day in English with confidence and detail.
3 questions to keep in mind as you listen today. 1. What time do you usually wake up, and what's the first thing you do? 2. How do you get to work or school, and what do you do during that journey? 3. What does your evening look like? How do you wind down? Hold those in mind. We'll come back to them. And before we start, please follow or subscribe to the Porchlight English. New episode every single day. Okay, let's get into it.
We're going to hear from Morgan. Morgan is a listener who shared their daily routine with us. We've turned it into a story for you to listen to and learn from. Listen for the verbs, the times, and the sequence words. We'll break it all down together right after.
Here is Morgan's day. My alarm goes off at 6:15 every weekday morning. I don't consider myself a morning person, not even slightly. But after a few years of the same schedule, my body has just accepted it. The first thing I do is turn off the alarm. Not snooze, turn it off. If I hit snooze, I know I'll be late, so I made a rule for myself. I sit up, take a breath, and get out of bed. I head straight to the bathroom. I splash cold water on my face, which wakes me up faster than anything. Then I brush my teeth and get in the shower. I keep my showers short, about 7 minutes. By the time I'm out and dried off, I'm actually awake. Next comes the part of the morning I look forward to most, the kettle. I'm a tea person, not coffee, always tea. I fill the kettle, switch it on, and while it boils, I check my phone. Messages, a quick look at the news, maybe a weather update. I try not to spend more than 10 minutes on my phone in the morning. Then I take my tea and sit by the window for a few minutes. Just sitting. No screens. Just tea and quiet. It's become my favorite part of the day. After that, I get dressed. My clothes are already laid out from the night before. That saves me at least 5 minutes in the morning. I eat breakfast while standing at the kitchen counter. Usually it's porridge with some fruit or toast with peanut butter. Something filling enough to get me through to lunch. I leave the house at 7:40 and walk to the tube station. It's about 12 minutes on foot. I use that walk to listen to something, a podcast, an audiobook, sometimes music. The morning air helps me feel ready for the day. My commute is about 35 minutes door to door. I get to the office just before 9. I greet my colleagues, make another cup of tea, yes, a second one, and then sit down and go through my emails. I spend the first 20 minutes clearing anything urgent before I get into the main work of the day. My mornings are usually when I do my most focused work, writing, planning, anything that needs real concentration. Lunch is at 1 o'clock. I bring my lunch from home most days. A sandwich, some salad, maybe leftovers. I eat away from my desk. That's a rule I made for myself a few years ago. Even if it's just 15 minutes in the break room or outside on a bench, stepping away from the screen in the middle of the day makes a real difference. Sometimes I go for a short walk after eating. Afternoons are a mix, sometimes meetings, sometimes independent work. I find I need to be more deliberate about staying focused after lunch. If I feel my concentration slipping, I take a 5-minute break, stretch, get a glass of water, and come back. My workday officially ends at 5:30. I try to be out the door by 5:45. The commute home takes the same amount of time. When I get in, the first thing I do is change out of my work clothes. It sounds small, but it signals to my brain that the workday is over. I make dinner around 7. Nothing elaborate on weeknights, just something simple and nutritious. I tidy up the kitchen after eating. Then I spend the evening reading or watching something or talking to someone. I try to be in bed by 10:30. Before I sleep, I write down 3 things I want to do the next day. It takes 2 minutes and means I wake up with a plan. I aim for about 7 hours of sleep. And then the alarm goes off at 6:15, and we do it all again. What a detailed, natural account of a real day. Let's go through it and pull out all the language worth learning.
The very first thing I noticed, Morgan uses the phrase, "my alarm goes off." Not "my alarm rings," although that works too, but "goes off" is the most natural, most common way to say it in everyday English. My alarm goes off at 6:15. Very natural.
And then, I don't consider myself a morning person. This is a great phrase. A morning person is someone who naturally wakes up easily and feels good in the early hours. You can say, "Are you a morning person?" I'm not really a morning person.
Morgan also says, "My body has just accepted it." That's so relatable. After years of the same schedule, your body adapts. It becomes automatic.
Then, I sit up, take a breath, and get out of bed. Notice the sequence there. Sit up, take a breath, get out of bed. 3 small actions in order. Very natural way to describe a morning.
The verbs for the morning routine are really important here. Go off, the alarm. Splash water on my face. Brush my teeth. Get in the shower. These are the core morning verbs.
Then Morgan talks about the kettle and the tea. I fill the kettle, switch it on, and while it boils, I check my phone. Notice while. That's a time connector. While something else is happening, I do this. While the kettle boils. While the coffee brews. While I wait. Very useful in describing routines.
And then this lovely detail. I take my tea and sit by the window for a few minutes. No screens, just tea and quiet. That kind of detail makes English feel alive. Not just listing actions, but giving them meaning.
Getting dressed. Morgan says, "My clothes are already laid out from the night before." To lay something out means to arrange it flat and ready to use. I lay my clothes out the night before. She laid her bag out by the door. It's a small habit that saves time.
Then breakfast. Porridge with fruit or toast with peanut butter. Something filling enough to get me through to lunch. Filling is a great adjective. It means a food that keeps you satisfied, not hungry again 30 minutes later. And get me through to lunch means sustain me until lunchtime.
The commute section. I walk to the tube station. It's about 12 minutes on foot. On foot, that means walking. You can also say, I walk, or I go on foot. And door to door, from my front door to the office door. My commute is 35 minutes door to door. Really natural phrase.
At the office, I go through my emails. Go through. Look at and deal with things one by one. I went through my inbox. She went through all the reports. Very commonly used with emails, documents, lists.
Then, my mornings are usually when I do my most focused work. This tells us about Morgan's energy pattern. Some people are most alert in the morning, others in the afternoon or evening. Knowing your pattern and working with it is really smart.
Lunch. I eat away from my desk. This is a habit a lot of productivity experts recommend. Stepping away from your workspace gives your brain a break, and Morgan frames it as a rule. That's a rule I made for myself. A great way to express a personal habit or boundary. The end of the workday. I try to be out the door by 5:45. Out the door means leaving, physically walking out of the building. I'm out the door at 8 every morning. She was out the door before 7. And at home, the first thing I do is change out of my work clothes. Change out of. Remove one set of clothing and put on another. I change out of my uniform when I get home. It signals to my brain that the workday is over. A signal, a cue, a trigger, something that tells your mind to shift modes. And the evening wind down. I tidy up the kitchen. Tidy up, to clean and organize a space. I'll just tidy up before you arrive. And then, I write down 3 things I want to do the next day. Write down. Put something in writing so you don't forget it. Very natural phrasal verb. One of the most important skills for describing a daily routine is using sequence words, words that show the order of things. Amanda, can you walk us through the main ones?
Absolutely. The first group is simple ordering words. First, then, next, after that, finally. These connect actions in sequence. First, I brush my teeth. Then I wash my face. After that, I make tea.
The second group is time-based connectors. In the morning. At noon. In the afternoon. In the evening. Before bed. These anchor your actions to parts of the day.
Third, while, during, and by the time. While the kettle boils, I check my phone. During my commute, I listen to podcasts. By the time I get home, I'm usually hungry.
And then phrases that express habits specifically. I usually. I always. I sometimes. I tend to. I try to. These soften the description. They say, this is what I generally do, not a fixed law. I usually have porridge. I tend to walk to the station. I try to be in bed by 10:30.
And one more group. Phrases that express routine length or frequency. Every weekday. Most mornings. A couple of times a week. About once a month. These give your routine texture and realism.
Now, let's do what we always encourage our listeners to do and describe our own routines. Amanda, how similar is your morning to Morgan's?
Honestly, there are some real similarities. My alarm goes off at 7, so a little later than Morgan's 6:15. I'm not a morning person either. But I found that the first thing I do sets the tone for everything else. And for me, that's not my phone. It's a glass of water. I drink a full glass of water before I do anything else. It sounds small, but it makes a noticeable difference.
I've heard that's really good for you. Rehydrating first thing.
It works for me. Then I wash my face with cold water. Same as Morgan, it's the fastest way to actually wake up. Then shower, get dressed. And then the coffee. Always the coffee. I make proper coffee in a cafetiere. It takes about 5 minutes. And while it brews, I write in a journal. Just a few lines. What I'm thinking about, what I want to do that day. That quiet window in the morning is really important to me.
I like that. A bit of intentional stillness before the day picks up speed.
Exactly. Then breakfast. Usually something with eggs, or porridge like Morgan, or sometimes just toast if I'm in a rush. I work from home 3 days a week, so my commute is different depending on the day. On office days, I drive, about 20 minutes. On home days, I close my laptop at the end of the day, and that's my commute.
The dream. My routine is a bit different. My alarm goes off at 6:45. I'll be honest, I do hit snooze. Once. Just once. My rule is one snooze maximum. Then up. No excuses.
A compromise with yourself.
Exactly. I shower first, then I get dressed, then breakfast. I'm more of a grab-and-go person in the morning, usually a banana and some yogurt, or a slice of toast. Very quick. I take the tube to work, about 40 minutes. I use that time to read. Actual books, on my phone or a paperback. I find it's a better way to start the day than scrolling social media.
That's such a good habit. What you consume in the first hour of the day really does affect how you feel going into work.
Completely. At work, like Morgan, I go through emails first. But I've started doing a different thing recently. I spend the first 15 minutes writing down my 3 priorities for the day before I even open my inbox. That way, I'm not immediately reactive. I know what I'm working toward.
Proactive rather than reactive. That's a really good distinction.
My lunch is usually around 1 or 1:30. I try to eat away from my desk, too. I think Morgan's right about that. Even a short break outside makes the afternoon feel more manageable. I finish around 5:30, tube home, and then I usually go for a run or a walk before dinner. It helps me transition out of work mode.
That physical reset is so important. I do something similar. I try to do some light stretching when I get home before I even sit down on the sofa. Otherwise, I just sink into the cushions and can't move.
I know that feeling. Dinner for me is usually between 7 and 8. I cook most nights. I genuinely enjoy it. Then the evening is reading, or a film, or sometimes just music and a quiet hour. I try to be in bed by 10:30 or 11.
Same. And I've started putting my phone in the other room when I go to sleep. I sleep so much better since I started doing that. The temptation to check it at midnight, if it's not there, you can't do it.
That's a great tip. Out of sight, out of mind.
Now let's listen to Morgan's routine one more time. This time, pay close attention to the sequence words, the time expressions, and the phrasal verbs. See how many of the vocabulary items from part 2 you can spot as you hear them.
You'll notice it lands differently the second time. That's because your brain now has context. The vocabulary is already primed. Listen for it, and notice how naturally it flows.
Did you catch more the second time? Things like while the kettle boils, on foot, door to door, go through my emails, out the door. If you did, that's your listening comprehension growing in real time.
Let's check your understanding. 3 questions about Morgan's day.
Question 1. What does Morgan do while the kettle is boiling? And what does Morgan do after making tea that has no screens involved?
Question 2. Why does Morgan choose to eat lunch away from the desk? What benefit does Morgan mention?
Question 3. What is the last thing Morgan does before going to sleep, and why? Here is your speaking challenge for today. We want you to describe your own typical weekday, in English, out loud, even if you're alone, especially if you're alone.
Use Morgan's structure as a guide. Start with your alarm. Walk through the morning step by step. Your commute. Your work or study day. Lunch. The afternoon. Getting home. Your evening. Bedtime.
Try to use sequence words. First, then, after that, next, finally. Try to include time expressions. At 7, around noon, in the evening, before bed. And try to use at least 3 of the phrasal verbs from part 2.
You can write it down if that helps, and then read it aloud. Or just speak naturally and see what comes. Don't worry about being perfect. Fluency comes from practice, not perfection.
And if you want to share it, leave it in the comments. We read every single one.
Let's wrap up. Today we heard Morgan's full daily routine and broke down the language that makes it natural and clear.
We covered core routine verbs. Wake up, get out of bed, brush teeth, get in the shower, make tea, get dressed, leave the house, arrive at work, go through emails, have lunch, finish work, get home, make dinner, tidy up, go to bed.
We learned key vocabulary and phrases. My alarm goes off. A morning person. On foot. Door to door. Go through. Away from my desk. Out the door. Change out of. Tidy up. Write down. Wind down.
We learned sequence and time expressions. First, then, next, after that, while, during, by the time, in the morning, at noon, before bed, and habit softeners like I usually, I tend to, I try to.
And we shared our own routines, Morgan's, Amanda's, and mine, so you could hear how the same topic sounds across 3 different real days.
Your challenge. Describe your day. 1 full routine. Out loud, in English, today.
Thank you so much for listening to the Porch Light English. Please subscribe or follow wherever you're listening. New episode every day. Share this with someone who's working on their English.
Keep the light on. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye for now.